Yeah, Honorable, thank you so much. My name is Robert Ariaka, and I'm privileged to have you for this interview. I want to appreciate you, first of all, for the effort you and your colleague members of parliament from northern Uganda were able to make when we had this issue of close of Karuma Bridge and the alternative route. First of all, we appreciate the efforts, but also we still see gaps that may not be favoring our business people. What would be, your position so that government has a better option and alternative?
Thank you very much. First of all, my name is Geofrey Feta. I'm a member of Parliament, Ayevo Division East Constituency. I am also the Deputy Chairperson of the Committee of Environment and Natural Resources of Parliament of Uganda. I am the Chairperson of West Nile Parliamentary Caucus. I want to say that as leaders from West Nile, we understand that we have an obligation of 4 areas. 1, to represent the views of our people in the 11th Parliament. 2 is to legislate, to put laws in place to regulate society. Number 3 is to do appropriation and budgeting. That we have done every financial year. And the 4th issue is oversight. So in this particular issue, the recent issue, government was fulfilling its obligation of infrastructural development. That is why they planned to rehabilitate Karuma Bridge to facilitate effective movement of people, of goods and services. And so it was necessary that for the safety of our people, the bridge is completely closed to the access of public, so that the structural integrity of the bridge can be restored. You remember Parliament has been sitting in Gulu recently, and in that sitting, the report we received from the Committee of Infrastructure is that the structural integrity of that bridge was at about 20%. And therefore, if it was not urgently closed from the public and handed over to a contractor, there was likelihood that it would be, very disastrous for the public to use. And so we agreed that government can close this bridge for purposes of rehabilitation, to make it proper and hand over to a contractor. And the line minister, the Honorable Minister Musa Cheru, the Minister of State for Works, went there with the committee and a number of leaders in the northern region, pulled members of parliament to assess and hand over. So that left the alternative routes to northern Uganda limited. For instance, for the areas of Lango and the upper part of Acholi, the only access now is either somebody moves through Nakasongola to Amolatara, or somebody enters through Masindi Port to go to from Apache, Rokunye to Lira, or to Gulu, whichever direction your destination is. And people who are going to lower West Nile, Madi sub-region, that route also could assist them. Now, the traffic that comes to West Nile, bigger part of this traffic goes to South Sudan, part of the traffic goes to Central African Republic, part of the traffic goes to Eastern Congo, was largely affected. So government provided 2 alternative routes. One, from Kafu Bridge, you turn off on the left, you drive to Masindi Town. From Masindi Town, you would drive to Kinyara through Kijura Trading Center. You drive to Kinyara. From Kinyara, you drive to Biso Town. From Biso, you drive down to the Rift Valley, Western Rift Valley. Then there is a stretch I don't know how many kilometers it is, but you take about between 45 to 50 minutes to go to Bugungu Gate, where you would access the Machizon Falls National Game Park. Then you would go to Para and exit at Tangi Gate. That comes to Pakwach on the Pakwach Karuma Road. Now that was the first alternative they sought for the public to use, in the meantime free of charge. Now the challenge with this route is that between Kinyara and Biso, a number of the sections of that road have not been tarmacked. So there are a number of diversions immediately after leaving Biso town. There are a number of diversions into Budongo forest. You are diverted into the forest 10 kilometers or 5 kilometers in the mud before you get back to the road, because that section of the road is under construction. So it was quite challenging for saloon cars, four-wheel drives, and trucks. Myself, I drove on that road. I was coming from Arua, and I wanted to reach Kampala quickly because I had a flight, but when I was diverted to the alternative route, I found it longer. I actually took 3.5 hours to reach Masindi. Now, the second route government advised was that people coming to this side should move through Nansana to Chiboga to Hoima, and then from Hoima you drive to Chigorobia, from Chigorobia and then you drive the escarpment down to Bugungu. So for those who are not familiar with that route, definitely it will be difficult to use it. So now there was a more shorter but convenient route from Masindi town to Chikomanyombo Gate. You drive through Para to Tangi. Now the Ministry of Tourism together with UA, Uganda Wildlife Authority, said one, Machizon Falls National Game Park was gazetted in 1964 for tourism activities. Recently, government has developed that road and tarmacked it, and therefore it is gazetted specifically for tourists. So our ordinary citizens should not access it, and they gave reasons. They said one, they are generating revenue from tourists there to maintain the conservation areas. That's one. Two, they said they estimated between 300 to 400 private cars to pass there, and therefore this would threaten the animals, the wild animals, and it would chase them away. They would run away for 15 years, they will not come back. That was their second argument. The third argument was the safety of the animals, that people would knock them and therefore some species would be lost. The other argument was that they cannot guarantee safety of the road users, that these road users may encounter wild animals and the wild animals can kill them. So those are some of the reasons advanced by UA. Now, that thing did not find me around. I was somewhere far, but about 7 people reached out to my inbox. Now, ever since Karuma is closed summarily, we are suffering, we don't have alternative route, we are going through this and that. So I tried to place a WhatsApp call to the line minister, the Honorable Martin Mugara. He's my OB. I was with him in Makerere for 3 years. I know him very well. But when I reached out to him, he said no, this is a sensitive matter that he cannot take decision on, because the UA has advised against opening that gate to the public, and therefore this matter needed to go to cabinet. So I said, okay, if that is it, then I am also going to call caucus of West Nile Parliamentary Caucus to draw the attention to this concern of our people and see how we can move together as a team. So on Friday the other week, I drove to West Nile. I had an experience of what is happening. I had a real feel of what is taking place, because our people who were passing through there were paying at Chikomanyombo Gate. There was a speed limit which we did not disagree with, but our issue was how will the people afford to pay, because an individual would pay for a person 25,000 shillings, and then a two-wheeled vehicle would pay 30,000 shillings. a four-wheel vehicle would pay 40,000 per vehicle. So that meant if you were, let's say, 4 in the vehicle, the 4 people would pay 25,000 times 4, that's 100,000. The vehicle would pay between 30 to 40, depending on the type of vehicle it is. Subsequently, the pressure from the public was very much because they were feeling the pain of the cost, because this cost you would pay would only be valid for 24 hours. After every 24 hours, you would be required to renew your entry at a fee. So when I came to Arua, I talked to a number of people, but I kept engaging UA. 1st of October, I went to Kampala through Machizon Falls, through Tangi Gate. So when I reached there, before reaching the gate, I was conditionally given a form to fill. In fact, the form is here. I was given this form to fill that I would exit through through Bugungu Gate, to exit, to go to the escarpment, to Biso and Kinyara, conditionally. So when I reached there, I did not understand what they were trying to do. Why they were forcing people to go through Bugungu, and yet the option of Chikomanyombo was there. They said, no, UA has directed everybody should go that way. And then I asked them, what if I can pay? They said, no, everybody must go this way. It is only tourists who must pass there and they pay. So when I reached the gate, I opted to pay. I paid 55,000 and I moved. When I reached somewhere, they said the money was not showing in the system. I had to pay again until I exited. So when we reached Kampala West Nile Parliamentary Caucus Executive, we sat. We had a discussion and we resolved we should call the main caucus immediately for an urgent meeting.
Just there, if you say you paid and money is not so in the system,
yeah,
and then you're forced to pay again,
yes,
does that, there was a question Honorable Joanne Okia put about unaccounted for receipts by UA.
yes.
Does that reflect to the aspect of unaccounted for monies?
UA had been put in mechanisms of payments to receive money from tourists there. So even us who were not tourists, who were merely transiting through the park because we didn't have an alternative, were forced to pay. We were all forced to pay. So they put Momo codes for payment. There is one at Chikomanyombo on the side of Masindi for MTN, then another for Airtel. Here at Pakwach, this is Tangi Gate, there is also one for MTN, there's one for Airtel. So I have been paying using the MTN Momo. So when I reached there, I paid as usual, and it reflects that UA Tangi Gate, I paid. It was in the system. But when I reached the checkpoint, the people said it was not reflected. I had to pay again. I paid. But this time I paid using the Momo code of the other gate, Chikomanyombo. It is all here in my phone, reflecting. So when I reached the gate now, the warden, I went to the warden. I said, you see, this is what you're putting our people through. You make them to pay, you dishonor the payment, they pay twice, you don't pay them back their money. So if moving through the park in the next 3 months is going to be like this, we don't want it. Because we are not coming here by choice. We have not chosen to come through a gazetted tourism park. We have come here because government has closed the other gate. And it is the mandate of government providing infrastructure for the citizens. So, but because you don't take the decisions here at the park, you are merely implementing. We are going to face the people who make the decision. That's why we said, okay, this is a matter which individuals cannot resolve. I cannot say I'm a member of parliament of Wave Division East, therefore I'm going to talk about this matter alone. You will not go far. This is a regional issue, this is a sub-regional issue, this is a matter of northern Uganda. Because the people who go on these roads do not only come from Arua or Moyo or Zombo, they cut across, even across the country. So that morning when I was there, When I walked barefooted, many people were asking, what happened to this man's shoes? What? But I was sending Ua a message. One was representing the last man in society who is going to be affected by the decision of Ua. Because the consumers of the services that are transported here, of the goods that are transported here, the salt, the cassava flour, the sugar, the bread, the goods, the ordinary goods that our people consume down here, these people were going to be affected. Walking barefooted was a reflection that I am the last man in the society being affected by this decision. So, when we reached Kampala, we called the caucus. The executive agreed on what to do. We resolved. We then called the main caucus. They agreed, and we went to do a press briefing. I think the press briefing was done on Tuesday. Tuesday we did the press. Wednesday, the Prime Minister called me. I met her. She invited the whole caucus for a meeting. For Thursday, we came. I think it was one of the first meetings where we had a number of people. We had 30 members. 30 members, and the 30 members were all members of Parliament from West Nile. Unfortunately, the people the Prime Minister invited came. The whole caucus was there. The Minister of Works was there. UA was there. UNRWA was there. Minister of Lands was there. But the President had delegated the Prime Minister to launch the presentation of the report of the UBOS census report. And therefore they could not release the Prime Minister on time. So when we waited up to 3 p.m., we decided to go to the House, because by 4, by our rules of procedure, at Prime Minister's time, she has to respond to issues. So we decided to use that time. So in that time, I stood up very many times, and my colleagues stood up to try to catch the Speaker's eye to give us space, but she didn't. At around 6 is when I went to her twice. Then she yielded and gave us space, and I presented the matter. When I presented the matter, the Prime Minister responded, I clarified. So the Speaker then directed the Prime Minister should call a meeting with us. But on Monday, when I was at Tangi Gate here, immediately after that, there were individuals who said, but that gentleman is the chairperson of the caucus. If he has issued a statement, doesn't that mean the statement has to be made, has already been made by the caucus itself? So I made the clarification of what had happened, and I shared with the government chief whip. So when I shared with him on Thursday evening, I called him. I shared with him. Now that we're going for NRM caucus, we need to draw the president's attention to this matter. Because last week by Monday, when the president was in caucus, in the SEC, not actual SEC, but cabinet, the president indicated that he does not, in principle, agree with charging people who are merely transiting the park. You can continue to charge the tourists and other people who are going to the park for holidays, for other activities, but these ones who are using the park just to pass, the logic of charging them, he does not understand. But the line minister, from very reliable sources, put up his hand and objected the president's guidance. He gave those reasons that the vehicles passing there will be too many, people will litter the park, people will, those unreasonable allegations. But we then said, in Queen Elizabeth National Park, the vehicles are transiting. The animals have not run away. In Semeliki here, vehicles are transiting. The animals have not run away. Lake Mburo here, which was degazetted, up to now you go there, you find zebras. They are grazing with the people's cows. So what is very peculiar with the Machizon Falls, we want to understand. So the government chief whip, Honorable Amsan Oboa, in his opening remarks as the chairperson of the NRM caucus, now brought this issue. Also, our colleagues in the NRM, the party whips, the regional whip of Lango, the regional whip of Acholi, the regional whip of West Nile, had also petitioned the government chief whip to draw the president's attention to the matter individually themselves. But for us as a caucus, we had taken the decision. So, when the president then was invited to speak, he reaffirmed his position. He does not, in principle, agree with charging people who are merely transiting through the park. Whether they are coming from West Nile going to Kampala, whether they are coming from Kampala going to West Nile, doesn't agree with charging them. It is an exploitation, in his words. Therefore, he directed, one is the line minister here, go and call a meeting. The minister was not in the caucus. Then he asked for the prime minister. Is the prime minister there? The prime minister was not there. The person there next was the vice president. So he directed that the vice president should call a meeting with us, the caucus of Northern Region, Lango, Acholi, and West Nile. So he did not stop there. He went ahead, directed his team to issue a statement directing that the gate should be opened for people who are transiting to be able to transit immediately. So at around, I think Friday, around 9 p.m., that statement came out. They sent it to the government chief whip, who immediately sent it to me. I think around 9:40 is when the government chief whip sent that thing to my WhatsApp. Then I picked it, I circulated it on West Nile platforms. I later sent it to West Nile Parliamentary Caucus platform. It is around 11 p.m. when it was now sent to the office of a government chief whip platform. So in essence, the pressure people put, the joint effort of the caucus helped us, and we are very grateful that the president was able to respond quickly to the plight of the people. On Thursday, when I raised this matter on the floor of the House, I told Parliament this matter was affecting livelihood of our people. This matter was affecting the economic activities of our people. It was affecting sick people. Accessing specialized medical treatment in Kampala was a problem. So we were appealing. We were not ordering government because we knew there was a legislation about tourism, there is a legislation about the parks. It is important we conserve our environment. It is important we conserve our heritage. It is important that we conserve the animals. But the situation we were dealing with was very abnormal. So I am quite pleased that, one, the government chief whip drew the attention of the president to this matter. Two, the president quickly responded to this matter. I am very pleased about that, and I am very, very grateful. Three, there was goodwill. The speaker, the Right Honorable Speaker, the Right Honorable Anita Annette Among, posted about this matter on the X platform. So that then meant that the head of legislation and the head of the executive essentially were pro us transiting through. The only people who were still dilly-dallying was the minister and the UWA leadership, who could not now resist when there is a presidential directive. I think that is what has happened. Now, we also, in the meeting with the prime minister, those didn't come. We engaged the UWA, we engaged the ministry. That's why you have seen UWA issue a statement. Uganda National Roads Authority, UNRA, issued a statement and instructed their team to, they actually increased the number of routes between Wanseko and Panyamuru. It used to be 2, now it's 4. By I think 7:30, the first ferry from Nyaravuru to Wanseko takes off. 9:30, it's coming this way. 11:30, it's going that way. 2:30, it's coming this way. 3:30, it's going that way. And 4:30, it now parks. It takes the last route. So that's one of the 2 achievements we were able to register in this week. Now, the issue of alternative routes we have been discussing. Right now, as we speak, the structural integrity of Pakwach is reducing, and the matter is being made worse by two factors. One, River Tange periodically breaks the banks and floods that road, and then the water hyacinth has impacted so much on the bridge and has taken the structures of the bridge hostage. UNRWA has deployed machinery there, two equipment there. Right now as we speak, they are detoxing, that is removing the excessive hyacinth off from that stretch. The machine is there, and we are hopeful it will improve the flow of water. Two, we have engaged the government to construct a new bridge in Pakwach. The designs are coming out, the approvals are in the process. What I think government is left with is the funding. What else is the solution? The railway line, which is coming from Tororo to Gulu to Pakwach. We are now discussing between Gulu and Pakwach, when is government starting it? And where is government going to source the money from? Because the movement of goods on this route will be very important for us. Three, the issue of the air transport. We have seen countries like Tanzania, local flights, domestic flights. Countries like Kenya, domestic flights. A country like China, domestic flight is very cheap. You fly from one town to the next town. They actually rely entirely on air transport. It is the easiest. So Uganda is now beginning to take that direction. And an airport was developed quickly here in Hoima because of oil. Now another one is being developed in Kasese. Another one being developed in Kabale. They have found the investor doing it in Kidepo. We have been asking government to do the airport in Arua, because Arua is the second biggest airport in the country. It is the second busiest in the country. The will to develop it is there, but there are a few individuals who want to use it as an opportunity to hijack, to place themselves there, and government should in the future compensate them. That's what's happened here, because the feasibility study that the MOU the minister signed with some developers here, I don't agree with it. Those are fake developers. I have written to the minister, I have drawn his attention to this concern. He said, no, what we have signed is only an MOU for 6 months. The 6 months has ended. There is nothing being done there. Nothing is being done there. So it is one of the reasons why we want the minister to come here. The minister is going to come here. We're going to discuss the state of this road, MEDIA-Robsyiti road. It needs urgent rehabilitation. It is in a very bad shape. The road from Nebi, Jukea, Padea, Paida, War, coming like this to Vura. It doesn't stop in Vura here. It goes to Odramachako via Lia. Then the road from Adumi Road, roundabout, to Lia through on the Paraka. That road we are making a discussion. It is in this document here. And then the road from Manibe to Wandi to Ure, because the one from Yumbe to Ure to Kulikulinga is now undertaken by JICA. The road from Kulikulinga to Ajumani through Bongi. Then there is this security road from Panyumuru. It comes to Nebi. It comes to Pakwach. Goes down like this through Wadulai, Ranokam, like this to Obongi. It goes up to Dufle. Those are the roads we're talking about. At least the one from Atiak to Ajumani to Omi, 66 kilometers, is being finished. Now, there is the bridge from Laropi, that Laropi bridge. We are discussing about it. There is a funding for it already, but we are discussing the funding agreements, because part of the agreements are with the bank. The bank indicates that they want UNRWA to be the one to do the road, to supervise the road. That means the next 3 years, when the project is on, it should be UNRWA. And yet UNRWA is now under the threat of being rationalized. So that discussion is on. That's why I want the minister here. Even Koboko, Yumbe, Moyo Road, that's part of the issue we are discussing. I think in terms of infrastructure, those are the key issues we are engaging government on.
We still have questions that, yes, Karuma Bridge is just being rehabilitated. This bridge has also stayed, it has worn out its lifespan. Even if it is rehabilitated, we don't have a guarantee that it may live for another 100 years. We expect that, yes, we should have better alternative bridges. When Jinja Bridge was being constructed, people still had access. And why don't we have an alternative bridge even in Karuma, so that we do not, break off the country when we have such disasters?
Government has planned for constructing a new bridge in Karuma. What they are doing now is just a rehabilitation of the existing bridge. As we will be using that, government will be constructing another bridge. Now, part of our engagement with the ministry, why we want the minister to come to West Nile, is for him to understand the load of traffic that moves on these two bridges, Karuma, Pakwach, and even this bridge in Madeokolo. So we must be sure of the structural integrity of these bridges to ascertain the movement of goods, services, and people. That discussion, I can guarantee you, we engage in government and engage in the ministry effectively on the same. It is our concern more than the rest of the people that our goods and services will be able to move across the region, to the region, from the region, across. That is our concern. Locally here, as we speak now, there are 3 bridges government is constructing. The Osu bridge here in my constituency. There's another bridge on Acha. There's another bridge in Vura. Up there, it's been worked on as you go to Vura Zomboboda. It's been worked on. There is also a bridge being constructed in Kochi. It's nearing completion. So these, can I?
Yeah, so we still think, yes, these alternative bridges should be there, because security-wise, we also asked a question. If there was insurgency now and these 2 gates are closed, what would be government's, quickest alternative to safeguard its people in northern Uganda?
Now, specifically for West Nile, the 2 alternatives, actually 3. Panyumuru to Wanseko on ferry is 1. 2, between Rhino Camp and Amur, government is working to put a ferry there. But the reliable solution would be a bridge. As they put a ferry and we propose to them to put a bridge. If you go to Obongi now, there is a feasibility study being undertaken on whether it is feasible to put a bridge on Sinyanya to Obongi, 2 landing sites. Because year in, year out, you need to maintain the ferry, service it, pay workers. It's very costly. So it's better to put a bridge that can last 100 years than to recruit people, procure machinery, maintenance cost, fuel, breakdowns, what repairs. So there's a feasibility study being taken there. But down now, Omi, Laropi, that one is now secured. It is nearing beginning. They are doing now procurement. There will be a bridge there. So these are the 4 alternatives: Panyamuru, Rono Camp, Obongi, and Laropi. But these alternatives are not yet secured because, 1, with the ferry you cannot guarantee that people will be able to pass day and night. The ferryman operating the ferry must go and rest. The machinery you're using must go and rest. So what is the way forward? Our appeal now is government should put bridges along this Nile on all these 4 spots so that the movement of goods and services can be guaranteed. If downstream all this fail, at least Panyamur should be able to take us. But the problem with Panyamur is it's very long. So putting a bridge there will be one of the most expensive things. So, but it's important we encourage government to do a feasibility. Is it feasible to put a bridge there, or it's not feasible? Because I have seen the Chinese put bridges on very long rivers, even lakes. So we need to really take on that discussion. I think for the access to and off West Nile, those are the options. But also for those who will be able to afford, the air transport is the most convenient. Because what would it take us 7 hours to reach Kampala? By air here, 55 minutes here in Kampala.
But have we also engaged the Ministry of Transport about the costs of air transport? We have air bombardiers that could actually, for people who want to carry their goods.
Now,
From Kampala
when we issued a statement as West Nile Parliamentary Caucus, one of our prayers to the Ministry of Works is that Uganda Airlines should begin to operate a local flight between Entebbe and Arua at subsidized price for those who can afford. Definitely the route is busy. The people to use it are there. We are only now asking the government to take advantage, because right now it is private players who operate it expensively. A one-way ticket is $205. You can imagine that's about 900, close to 900,000 just going. So we are saying Uganda Airlines should be able to consider this route. 1, because of the crisis in the park. 2, for ease of movement, because there are people who can afford it. It's a business opportunity for them. We have people who come from Congo, want to go to Kampala quickly. That would be the route. There are people who come from Juba, South Sudan. They want to go to Kampala quickly. From other parts of this area, want to go to Kampala quickly. The customers to use it are there. The airfield is there. We are only asking government to expedite. So as we discuss with the government, these other issues, we have not talked about them, but they are in what we have asked government. Because we asked the government 10 things. I saw somebody quickly edited and posted only 7. That person was trying to mislead the government. But we have 10 demands, out of which we have achieved 2 so far. So the remaining will be presented to the Vice President when she calls the meeting.